There's so much uncertainty going into Matt Rhule's first season as head coach of Nebraska, which is especially true when it comes to the running back room. We've compiled as much information as we could to try and paint a picture of what you might be able to expect in 2023. But first, hit that like button for us and tell us in the comments, which running back would you like to see start this upcoming season? The first player I think about when it comes to running backs is definitely Anthony Grant. Gary, is there any chance that he's not starting week 1 Thursday night against the Golden Gophers?
For sure. I actually kind of think it's unlikely from what we've heard leading up to the spring game and then what happened during the spring game and after. We're kind of in that dead period where we're not getting a lot of, whether he didn't play much because and wasn't high on the radar of the coaches because of the suspension, the academic stuff, all that, or if I feel like people have kind of forgotten about Gabe Ervin. And you go back 2 years, he was Anthony Grant or AJ Allen. He come out of nowhere and started as a true freshman 2 seasons ago. And then when the injuries happen, he goes down. We come in last year, Anthony Grant blew everybody's minds. And then as the season went and they kept wanting to push AJ Allen, he looked like a stud. Now he goes off to Miami. So I don't think that Gabe Ervin is just out of nowhere who's this new guy they're talking about? I think they're seeing what the coaches on the previous staff saw, that them start him over guys that had been on the roster for a while. And I think it's going to be a legit competition. But as of now, without more insight or intel on what was going on with the suspension, seeing more of one guy and less of another gave Ervin the leg up over him, or if it's like, oh shit, this guy is a stud, as well, and he can do more things, he can outperform him or do whatever else. Either way, the way Rhule talks about having that identity and it being running the football and being a power team and a tough team, there's going to be plenty of carries to go around, not just for those two, but for guys like Ramir. We've talked a little bit recently about Emmett Johnson, and he shows flashes of some speed, some good field vision and things like that. But as far as day one start, if I had to put my money on it, I would assume Ervin, just because we've heard so much. But we're going to learn a lot more here in the upcoming weeks when practice gets going and you get to hear more of standing out or who they talk about the most.
To be fair, though, I'm always wrong when it comes to running backs. I'm the guy that wanted Amani Cross for years.
And yeah,
I'm the guy that thought Divine Ozigbo should be getting every carry. Or like you were saying, I was a Yant guy. So every guy I pick is basically cursed. But to me, he seems like a true NFL running back. I hope that he gets in the coach's favor. And I think that's what it is going to come down to. For the new Satterfield offense, which guy fits best? Do you think that that's going to come down to the main running back responsibilities, or do you think they're going to care most who's the best pass blocker?
That's another what if. I feel like we're being super redundant. As last year when we were doing these previews, there was a lot of wait and see mindset because there were so many new coaches on the staff and so many new players out of the portal. This year it's the same stable essentially of running backs. I mean, obviously we said Allen's gone, but is Rhule going to have the upper hand on play calling in games? We kind of made up our assumptions before with Frost and Whipple, and then we heard all kinds of different things going on mid-game. So I don't know. I hate saying that. We don't know if that offensive line is going to be much better, if you're going to have to get a guy that can just buy the quarterback an extra couple seconds. So in that case, yeah, you're going to have to lean heavy on your best pass protector. If the system's a little bit different and the techniques have made the difference with another year on these offensive linemen, and there's going to be legit holes to run through. Now you're looking at what style. Do you need a guy who can cut back more? Do you just need a guy who can lower his head and run downhill? Do you want guys that can outside, Ramir Johnson types that are dual threats and they're mixing it up a lot? I look at who they brought in, and like I said, outside of the portal, they brought in one running back. You go across the other skill positions, they brought in a lot of guys and they brought in a lot of speed. Receivers, tight ends, on the defensive side of the ball, everything else. So I find it hard to believe that it's going to be old school smash mouth football that we're used to seeing or we were used to seeing. I get that being the tone setter, but to have that much speed and that much talent on the edges and not use it, it makes me kind of think, okay, who's your most versatile back? And I know a lot of people would say Ramir is he is good at the power side of running the ball. Is there a guy in there? Is Ervin? Maybe that's part of what's giving him the leg up. Maybe his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is helping him stand out over Anthony Grant. And, they're going to mix it up, but he's going to be the main guy because he can run power, he can run speed, on the edges or cutbacks, but they can also throw to him when they want to mix things up. We looked at some of Satterfield's offense last year, and there was all kinds of different pre-snap movement and guys lining up receiver and getting into the backfield and guys being in the backfield going out to tight end, things like that. There's just going to be so much unknowns going into it. It's going to be really tough to say who's going to be the guy that fits what they're looking for to be the main guy.
So for the record, I want Anthony Grant to start and you want Ramir?
No, I mean, if it was up to me, and obviously I don't know all the inside stuff, I've always been a Ramir guy. I love his ability of all the different things he can do. I really love him character-wise, that he don't hear him complain about much. I feel like last year he got screwed around a lot with us hearing how much he was going to get involved with the offense, and most of the time he didn't even know he was on the team. But no, from what I've actually seen and then add in what you're hearing from the coaches, I think it's a toss-up between Grant and Irvin, but I can't help but think it's going to be Irvin just from the way they've talked about him. And then you also look at him being the first true freshman to start 2 years ago before the injury. Obviously, he didn't lose much, and some of the pictures you see, it looks like he's really been working hard to get back in it.
All right, so we really don't know which of the running backs is going to start. That's clear. How about the young guys? Do you think either Emmett Johnson or Quentin Ives get any real playing time? I like both of these guys. Is it in the cards this year?
I like both of them as well. Quentin Ives, I would expect to be redshirt. I mean, maybe you don't because, he's the fifth guy, and depending on if you're going to stick to the run that much, factor in maybe the offensive line isn't that great. You got to worry about injuries, so you need some depth. But that's a kind of, you can worry about it when it happens, if it happens type deal, because you've got the 4-game window and where you can still redshirt him. Emmett Johnson's already been redshirted, and I really like his agility and vision. He's got speed, but he's, he can take it through a gap in the middle, bounce it outside and go. He's got breakaway speed. He's not afraid to go inside, but he seems to have all the tools of like a more speedy outside type back. So I fully expect him to get plenty of carries. If Rhule or Sutterfield or whoever's the main guy on the offensive side dictating things really is going to try and dictate tempo and own time of possession. And he's hammered a lot of times that at the end of games, if you can get first downs, you can end the game, close games out. You're going to go through some backs, and I think a guy like that, especially maybe late in games when your primary backs have been pounding on them all game, you get a guy like that to break something and kind of put it away. I fully expect to see him get a decent amount of minutes along with Ramir.
Now here we agree, because I think that if anyone is going to shock you or step into some playing time that was unexpected, it's going to be Emmett Johnson. His speed, his shiftiness, that seems like the type of player that gets pushed to the front of the line. Tell us what you guys think in the comments about the running back room for Nebraska this season. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys next time.